What we're going to look at today is the power of imagination. Just think about that. What if there was a world beyond what we could see? What if our daydreams weren't just dreams? What if there is a place where we can live and love in peace and harmony? Think about that. On July 25th, Leslie Flower's new book, The Possibility of eRada, will take us to this place that up till now only existed in our imagination. Now, given the friction and the tension in our world today, this is the right book at the right time and by the right author. Let's meet Leslie. Now, she's already well known. She's a trailblazer for business leaders. She's been a teacher, an advisor, a mentor, and an expert with decades of delivering laws of achievement and timeless success based on the all-time best-selling book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Now, Leslie is already an accomplished and a best-selling author. She has 9 published books before this one, so this will be the 10th. And this book, The Possibility of eRada, invites us to explore what could be. Can we imagine? Let your imagine go wild here. Leslie, welcome to Life Altering Events.
Thank you, Frank. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're really excited to have you. I've had the good fortune, David, to be able to read an early copy of this book, and it is phenomenal. So this is something, in talking to you before, that you've wanted to do for years. So what was the tipping point? What inspired you to finally move into this thing that had been percolating in your brain for a couple of decades?
Well, I was ready to write it because it was 25 years ago that I got the idea and visualized and imagined this world as I was driving each weekend up to my chocolate company in the mountains of North Carolina. And Interstate 40 is kind of a boring road. And
Yeah.
I was going every weekend. And so that is what happened. And so every weekend, going up and back, I would visualize with creative imagination. And there's also synthetic imagination, which is once you get an idea, you use all your resources and experiences to kind of fill out how you're going to do the idea.
Mm-hmm.
But this was totally creative imagination because it was like way out there. And I found that I could let myself go, almost like lucid dreaming. You've heard about authors saying that they actually didn't write it. So what I would do is I wrote the outline 25 years ago. So after the 4 hours, I'd come in and I'd write about the planet. How did it get started? The topography. How is it inhabited? Right? What does it produce? So 25 years ago, I wrote the outline in great detail based on pure visualization and imagination.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't ready to write it. I couldn't write it. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Okay.
Tell us.
So this was at the low point of my life.
Mm.
My long-term marriage, which was really successful, for the most part, 2 beautiful children, dissolved. The details don't really matter, but I will tell you this. I was one woman who didn't want to let it go. But you got to have both people.
Exactly.
So it was, so it was a crazy, depressing time for me. And I went back to work, but I would come home and cry every night, my own little pity parties. And it was like a hole in my heart. I felt like I was disconnected from my roots, from the family that I had created. It was the worst time of my life. And so what I did is I fell in love to fill the hole. So I had to, because I was going nuts with myself, right? I mean, how long can you stay depressed?
Right.
So a friend of mine invited me up to the mountains of North Carolina to introduce me to one of her friends who was a chocolatier. And I got this wild idea that I wanted a chocolate company. Did I know anything about it? Only that I like chocolate. Right. But at the same time, another friend introduced me to this most marvelous man who I insisted that I fall in love with.
Mm-hmm.
And I used the visualization there too, Frank.
Right.
Right. I mean, I don't know that he was really all that I thought he was, but boy, I made it up because I needed that, the creativity, that love, that vibration, sex, right? That's the highest vibration and the most creative. So that's why when I got the outline done, I was in no position to write anything.
Right.
Then over the next 25 years, this is when I put in 20,000 hours teaching. I'm an expert in Think and Grow Rich. I've taken 500 people through my course, and they now know how to set and achieve a goal consistently. I teach the universal laws and timeless principles, and that's what I've been doing for 25 years. Well, the result is that I had put in enough where the universe said, now you're ready.
Oh, it's time.
So, right. So I did not dream about it
Mm-hmm.
for 25 years. I didn't think much about it. But one day I did. It was about a year and a half ago. And luckily, I was part of a writing group. And the leader of the group, I asked him if I could upload these episodes. I wanted to write it. He said, sure. Well, I wrote 12 episodes in 12 weeks. Right? But I went right from the outline. But then I
Mm-hmm.
was able to use 25 years of awareness, leadership, emotional intelligence, agile thinking, whatever you think about, putting it
Right.
all to use. And then the universe gave up and gave me what I needed to write this saga. So that's really, there was like a big gap. But the truth is, it was this desperate need to fill that hole. And I know people understand this because I'm not the only person.
You
The other thing
definitely
is,
are not.
right, and I know also over these 25 years that the depth of the low that I felt, Frank, by universal law would be matched at its high point. And that's what this is. In other
Exactly.
words, it is the ultimate epitome of all the work I've done in such a way that people can dream with me and they can see the
Exactly.
power of it. Yeah. So,
Exactly. And when I went through this, I could see that because almost everyone has had that desperation, depression, hit the bottom of the barrel.
yeah.
And now some people can come back from it and some people can't. And I think this book will give people hope that it is possible. Now, your characters are amazing in this book.
Thank you.
Now, what are you hoping that the readers connect with these characters in their journey? Where do you see that match coming?
Well, I think we all have unrequited love, right? And I think that it's fun to play with love and to remember when you had a crush in high school and bring up those memories that titillate us, that make the goosebumps and hair stand up on our arms, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a love story, but it's also much more. And I think it's time for a place that you can easily leave where you are now for a short while as you read it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
imagine yourself doing all the things that the two main characters do. So I think I would love it to be an escape for people, a happy, warm, and loving escape to a place where values and virtues matter.
Mm-hmm.
They reign supreme. And people, this thing about virtuous living, There have always been virtues in society, mostly because it makes us feel good. So I think that that's what I'd like, is people to feel good and to realize that pretty much anything is possible if you want it enough.
It's wonderful, and the
Thank you.
characters are tremendous. You'll be impressed, folks, when you read this.
Thank you.
So, Leslie, what are some of the challenges? This book, other than 25 years of ramping up, you put it together, 12 episodes in 12 weeks, that's impressive.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
what were some of the challenges that you faced trying to do that in that short window of time?
The challenges actually were joyful. So I'll give you an example. I mean, there was lots of challenges. For example, there's on the planet eRada, there's a dwelling, a home, right? That represents how people live.
Hmm.
And of course, I have no idea what the home would look like, right? Uh, at that time, I was really curious and very focused on um, Vikings. I got into the Viking history, right? I don't know what it was, but I loved it. I love the bravado of the Vikings. I don't love how they got stabbed and hurt,
Right, right.
but
Yeah, that
but
was
I
no
love
fun.
that they take a stand, right? Such a brilliant stand. And so in when describing their home, a typical home, I went and found a Viking home, a
Mm,
picture of it, a description of it, but it was the pictures. So then I simply sat down and described the pictures. So was that a challenge? Not really. It was actually kind of fun
yeah.
because I knew what I wanted, and it's a house that is built into a berm, right? So that you wouldn't even really know that people lived within that berm or that small hill, unless you saw the window or the door. But it's all covered with grass for protection and also to keep the inside temperate. So
Hmm.
that was one challenge. The other challenges was I kept dropping questions at the end of each um, episode, and
Hmm.
I had a really hard time keeping up with what I'm going to tell you and what I'm going to wait to tell you as the reader. So there's all these little mysteries, if you will, that are going to be revealed. So documenting what was going on in each episode was challenging, but I simply just I made a grid for each episode and put in what were the graphics, what were the points, what's coming next in the next episode. So I had something to follow,
Hmm.
right? So really having the outline already done made it really easy.
That helps a lot.
It was
Exactly.
really easy. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when you were balancing, because the story is, I don't want to give too much of it away, but it's based in a city in California. That's where it
Did I
starts.
give too much away when I
No, I
just
said, no, I don't want to give too much
okay,
away,
but
but
did
then you,
I? I
no,
hope I
no, no,
did.
you were
Okay.
wonderful.
Okay.
Starts off in a city in California,
Right.
and then you have this intergalactic. So keeping between this is the world that we live in, and
Yes.
this is the world that we could have.
Yes.
How did you
Yeah.
bridge that?
Kind of with lucid dreaming.
Hmm.
So the main character who lives in the city in California, right, fell asleep one night and really through astral traveling or projection, through her dream, left her bedroom. I hope this is okay to
This
say.
is fine.
Okay, okay. And glided above the stars and way above them and all the constellations. And she noticed the movement among the constellations, and she was able to move kind of like if when you're flying an aircraft, a large aircraft, all you have to do is like touch the control and it banks, right? So
Exactly.
she had this ability to simply begin to move in one direction and move across the sky. And she could see what was going on. And the constellations were playing a game. So that's, and so she would go back, to sleep at night. And there were other things happening on land in California. But each night, kind of like me driving every week,
Yep.
she would go back, take her position above all the constellations, it was like a baseball game, right?
Hmm.
And then that's where she saw something happen with one of the artifacts that actually gave life to the planet. And so she's telling a story to the narrator, like in California, about these dreams.
Hmm.
And then she also I drew a map, a rustic map of the planet. So these two would meet, and the narrator would want to hear more and more about the story.
Hmm.
And then there's the love interest, of course. I think it's the new Fabio. Thank you. Fabio is kind of my generation, and I think we need another kind of Fabio for Gen Xers and those other
You're
folks.
right. We
So,
need the superhero
oh yeah, oh
who
yes,
has the moral capacity and the overall goodness which
yes,
this character has, which is
yes,
amazing.
yeah,
The the love component of the story is amazing because it's love travels. There's no limits.
right.
There's no limits on love, and we can find it in places you don't expect. And that's when I read it the first time. I went, "Oh my God, this is it." You go this existence, and then this opens up and this blossoms, and there it is. Is that what you were looking to do?
Well, it mimics the love I've had 25 years ago.
Hmm.
So it was this really interesting blending. Linear time disappeared. It more was like the spiral, or the quantum string theory. What little I know about that,
Right.
that time disappeared. So there were characters from 25 years ago, and then there were character, right? And I don't know that that was ever a real love, honestly, Frank.
Right.
It was a placeholder. I mean, it was real, right? And it was phenomenal. And it was enough for me to visualize this incredible story.
Right.
And I'm still in touch with him, actually. And he has helped a lot with this book because
Hmm.
he was really pivotal at that time. We're good friends. And so it's an unconditional kind of love, because in this story, certain people are selected to inhabit this new world based on their level of character, if you
Yes.
will. Remember, this is a place, but there's also some evil stuff, obviously. You've got
Right.
right. But it's and you and your team actually helped me quite a bit in how we would open the story. So I absolutely want to thank you for that, because the story was written and you and your partner made a suggestion to open the book in a different way than I had.
Hmm.
So it's very intriguing, and I'm grateful to you for that.
It was an adventure to say the least.
Yeah.
And as we looked at it, and
Mm.
as I've read it now multiple times, it's a self-discovery that the two characters, the two primary characters, have this awakening, for lack of a better word. All right, they reach this self-discovery of what it is that they want, what they're meant for, and what they're meant to do. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, because their roles in that part of the story are honest, they're heart-centered.
Mm-hmm.
So the male character is actually responsible for maintaining the topography and the environment and the climate on the planet for what they're producing. So his responsibility is to make sure that the devilish things, right, the negative things that do pop up now and then, are managed without affecting what's going on in the climate there. And that ability to solve for not a compromise with the protagonists, if you will. It's not a compromise. It was a better solution. And that's his role, to maintain all life on the planet. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really important, right? So it's a heart-centered kind of roles. All of these are, they're very spiritual, right? You know, there's each day, each family goes to the town center and gets their sustenance, over which they pray. And let me just tell you that eRada, for those who are interested, over the 25 years when I wrote this, Frank, there were about 4 or 5 years that I became very connected with a group of Hare Krishnas near where I live.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I had heard of Hare Krishna was in, the airport with the orange, and not at all what that is. Okay, I got to tell you, these people are way ahead of the Western world as far as spirituality. I learned a lot. And one of the things I learned is that when you pray as you cook, and when you offer as a symbol of gratitude to God, before you eat, the food tastes better. And so in the story, the God in Krishna consciousness is Krishna. That's one of the names. It's not really God, it's a representation
Right.
of that one universal force that we all know, that's omnipresent and full of love and wants us to succeed. There's really only one, but we can call it whatever we want and add whatever
Exactly.
characteristics. It's really simply that. But anyway, now where was I going? You'll have to catch me up. And I got off track there.
This self-discovery that they go through he has his role, and he's the
Yes,
protector and defender,
yes,
and she
yes.
has her role, but she doesn't know what her role is. He knew
She's
what his
learning.
was.
Right, right, right. That's right. And the female side is Radharani. And
Mm-hmm.
so during those years when I learned to cook and listen to the chanting and met some of the gurus and really learned, I even learned how to do a candle dance where
Wow.
you hold candles in your hand and then they, right, and all of that. I mean, I just loved, they love. There's no arguments. There's nothing negative about the way they live. So I gave my name the nickname Radha.
Mm-hmm.
That's where eRada came from.
That's
So
where it
during
is.
that 25 years, I was heavily influenced in a very positive and loving way about Krishna consciousness, and realized um, that we're behind, that
Yeah.
those people are way ahead of us. So I haven't given away too much, have I?
No, no,
Okay,
this is wonderful.
okay,
The
good.
book is The Possibility of eRada, and it will be available for pre-order on July 25th. And it'll be through Amazon, and obviously there'll be a lot of posts that will be put up with the links and all those things. Why is this the perfect book for a summer read?
It's a getaway. It really is a getaway. I mean, take it to the beach. It's not a very long book,
No,
although it's all relative, what is long, what is short. But it's the perfect book if you're going away for a 3-day weekend with your family, right? To sit out on the porch over there by the ocean, wherever you are, and kick back and dream with me. Imagine. I spent a lot of time um, describing certain things so that you could imagine what I was imagining. And then you will be touched by the release of your own imagination. Because what I've discovered is that most people don't use their imagination very much.
that's
When I
right.
was a little girl, I used to hear the teacher say, Leslie, stop daydreaming and pay attention to the lesson. But yet, what they should have said was, Leslie, do more daydreaming. Right. And so we get to this age and it's like a frozen faucet, isn't it? Like
Yes,
we don't even know how to use it. So this is like, would be a wonderful, easy read that will ignite and begin to rebuild your muscle of imagination. Because it's through imagination and visualization that you feel great. And that's how you connect with the universe and God. When you pray, you have a very high vibration. You really mean it. It's loving. It's the best part of you. That's also visualizing. Please help this person get well. So it opens up some of the gifts that human beings have with conscious awareness that we haven't used since we were kids.
exactly. Some of the things that we've forgotten,
Yeah.
some of the things that we have buried because life is life.
It's in the way. That's right. That's right. And then we have a
And
lot of fears. So,
exactly.
so we get a bright idea as we get older, and we've absolutely failed, right? We all have. It takes something special to do something that you've failed at and succeed. We've all failed. So therefore, very few people step out on their dreams, particularly when they don't know how they're going to do it. I had no idea how I was going to write this book. I put the outline away, right? I mean, I'd gotten enough from
Mhm.
the visualization and I really got the whole foundation. But I never thought again about writing it because I was hurt at that time. I wasn't capable. But the universe, when we bite off something really big, the universe demands that we put our effort in, right? So that we will succeed. And it took, when it's a big idea, it takes something. It takes your persistent and your focus, concentration, but most of all, the deep, compelling desire to achieve it. And once I got the place where I could write this and I got the idea about a year ago or a year and a half ago, I don't remember when I started it. And I had someone say, here's the venue. You can post one every week. I'll put it up there for you. Right. That was the incentive to split that outline apart and simply write. And I was able to churn out an episode every, it was easy because I knew, there's how it was inhabited, there's how the game went, right? I already done the hard part.
Mhm.
So
Once you see the vision, and I've written 9 books also, once you see it, it's almost a stream of consciousness and it just flows. It's like you don't even know where it's coming from. It's just
well,
there it
that's
is.
it. You're not writing it actually.
Exactly.
You have a partner. And here's the thing about manifestation of what you want. Visualization is the DNA, and is there are two creations when you get an idea. This is something to consider that you might find interesting. Consider that the moment you get this wild idea that you fall in love with, right? And it starts to get clear for you and you start to get excited and you're thinking about it. The second iteration, the physical manifestation, is created in the universe. Now, over the period of time between when you begin visualizing and you reach the achievement, which is governed by the universe, every time you visualize the thing being done, the memory and the graphic image pops up on the screen of your mind, and so does the vibration, the feel good, because mind is a cellular activity. When you're thinking something really great, you feel it in your body. So the visualization is the DNA. And every time you do this, every other day, every third day, you think about it, the amplitude of vibration or the velocity of your cellular vibration is the same speed with which that second iteration, the physical manifestation, comes to you. So you notice that I don't go there for the book. Everything I needed came to me.
Exactly.
So that's the DNA. Just like with an acorn, right? When we plant it, that's a spiritual seed, as an idea. An acorn is a physical seed. Neither one have roots, right? So you've got to plant that acorn. But if you opened it up and looked at it, there's no little oak tree inside there, right?
That's right.
It's the DNA and the vibration that attracts to it. And then we, as humans, since we've done oak trees, right, we can calculate when it's going to break ground. But the difference in an idea that's going to manifest into a book or whatever it is that you want, you don't get to say by when.
That's right.
Right? Based on the size of it, the universe will put a stop or send people and opportunities to you. Right? Now, I've known you for years. And how long did it take for, I mean, you were very patient with me, but I never gave up. I knew we were going to do this. And you said, we're ready when you're ready. And I never gave up because I had done the work. And now this is the fun part, isn't it?
It is.
So you really control how quickly, right, the alacrity with which you manifest based on your vibration. So if you really love it and you think about it maybe 10 or 15 minutes every day when you're driving, it doesn't matter. You write a little bit, you take a task here or there, something to bring that visual image of the completed book or whatever it is, and onto the screen of your mind. It's that one image. Along with it comes the emotion, how you're feeling, and the vibration is that's how we communicate with God. That's how. And I say God, sometimes universe. I say to people, whatever word works for you. If you feel uncomfortable with spirit, pick your own word, right? It's as long as we can agree that it's an omnipresent force of energy, if you will, that never runs out exactly, that wants us to be, right? So, yeah.
Exactly. And it's amazing that when that moment comes, and it could be 24, 48 hours where you're just intently focused, and then you look back and say, wow, where'd that come from? And it's been manifesting for you created that. And I love that because everything comes when it's supposed to. All things in due time, as I was told growing up. And I hated that growing up because I wanted it now. I don't want it.
Well, and that's part of the problem is that, we have such a sensory overload in our society. There are so many wonderful things to do. I mean, there were so many creative things, so many ideas. When I was a little girl, we didn't have a TV till I was 10. We went outside and played. We ate healthy food. No one was fat. If you think about it, we were a pretty skinny society. So we lose focus. And when you're creating something like this, you've got to stay focused because it's the visual image and the visualization that is communicating with the universe. Step it up. I'm working toward it. Step it up. And then the universe will send you people and opportunities. And this has happened to me with one of the promos. They just dropped, right? This was no coincidence. So I've learned that when the right things come, that's not a coincidence. You have been manifesting and visualizing a lot of different ideas. But we have to grow roots. And that's effectively what the visualization does. You begin to believe it. Because when you start, you're likely, it's likely to
Yeah,
occur. I'm
right.
going to give it a whirl. But then when time goes by and you're visualizing, and all of a sudden someone shows up with the exact answer for that you're looking for on this particular goal that you're working on, this book, you have to realize that you are cause in the matter, that you're part of what's happening. So you actually attracted those people to you. They're not coincidences. They have the perfect, and those are your everyday miracles, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. I heard someone told me one time, says, Frank, there is no trying. You either do it or you don't.
That was Yoda.
Okay.
What was it?
Yoda.
Yoda said, um, you do or do not, there is no try. So I could try to drop this pencil.
Right.
No, I'm holding the pencil.
Right.
I'm either holding it or I'm dropping it. I'm not trying to do anything. And
Exactly.
yeah, so
Exactly. That's amazing. Well, we're just about out of time, Leslie. July
okay.
25th. July
Yes,
25th. Mark your
yes,
calendar.
yes.
Get on. They'll be posting. The link will be available on the 25th. Order this on a pre-order. And this is something that's you're going to love this book. Absolutely. Any last words you want to leave with the people around the world?
Well, it's my intention to continue providing inspiration and value to people and teaching them the things that they forgot about or they never knew about, so that they can maximize the gift that we all have, which is conscious awareness. We're the only living thing that can take an idea and turn it into physical form. And so the better we get at practicing these things and being open to considering without knowing everything, your
Correct.
intuition will tell you if it doesn't feel right. But this opening up of the possibility that you actually can create good things in the world for other people. And if you don't do it, some people will never get the message because you were meant to
That's right.
provide that message. That's
This
what I'm.
was your this was your goal. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, we're just about out of time. I want to thank my good friend Leslie Flowers again. The possibility of eRada, July 25th. Write it down. Get this book. I have an advanced copy. I strongly, strongly recommend you read this. This is going to be worth your time. As I said in the opening, this is the right book at the right time. And as you've heard, this is the right author for this book. You can see this on my podcast, which is called Life Altering Events. It'll also be on Parade Deck and my YouTube channel. I'll also send links to Leslie, and she will post at all the places she posts things. If you use the YouTube channel, please subscribe. Let me leave you with this, as I do every week. None of us are in this alone. And the secret to walking on water is to know where the rocks are. And today, Leslie showed us where many, many of those rocks are. Join us again next week for another life altering event. Again, Leslie, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Frank.